ulcerative colitis affects every aspect of one's life. And that's because the symptoms that are associated with this condition include abdominal pain, diarrhea, and the urgency to go. Imagine not being able to sit through the duration of a movie, or imagine not being able to sit through a dinner with a date. Today, part of the treatment includes enema treatment. These enemas have to be retained or held overnight. The challenge is in getting that drug into the tissue fast enough. We've come up with a solution to this delivery problem. And basically, the way that we did it was by applying ultrasound. And what it does, it creates these microbubbles. When an enema is exposed to the ultrasound, the drug is rapidly delivered into the tissue. Patients now only have to retain an enema on the order of minutes, as opposed to hours. Patients will benefit by achieving remission much faster than with the current standard of care. We want to get these technologies to patients as soon as possible, and this award would help accelerate that process.
Anyone who's seen a patient with Alzheimer's disease know of the devastating effects this disease can have not only on the patient, but on the family. A lot of the times when we give a treatment for Alzheimer's disease, many neurons have already died, and we're just targeting the symptoms and not its underlying cause, because the cause has already happened years, maybe sometimes decades before. So we've come up with a way to try to get a window into the brain before it's too late. We're able to take stem cells and turn them into brain cells in a dish in just 2 weeks. Over that time, we can see the neurons growing out in the dish and communicating with one another, and we can use that as a model to try to understand what's happening in the Alzheimer's disease brain. Say there's 3 of you, right? And one of you guys is going to respond to a treatment. We can make brain cells in a dish from each one of you, predict which of you would develop Alzheimer's disease, and then test which therapeutic intervention would work for each of you individually. And if a treatment doesn't exist for a given patient, we could potentially use this system to try to identify new therapies that would work for that person. But this is a new way to think about how we're going to predict and treat Alzheimer's disease. If we're successful, this could potentially mean the alleviation of suffering for millions of people and their families.
Medical expenses actually end up putting 1 in 5 Americans into debt every year, and hospitalization is a huge part of that cost equation. It can be a really distressing time when a patient has to go to the hospital and is very sick. They might be in a 2-bedded room and their privacy is an issue. They may be eating food that is not their own, and it may be very hard to get a good night's sleep. We do think there is an alternative to being in the hospital, and that's bringing the hospital to the home. As soon as a patient hits the emergency room and the decision has been made for admission, we're going to offer them the opportunity to go back home versus go upstairs. And the nurse and the physician will actually meet the patient in their home. Home hospital patients are going to have remote wireless monitoring capabilities, so we will have a heart tracing and heart rate and respiratory rate for every patient at all times 24/7. No more waking up in the middle of the night for vital signs, for example. We're going to be able to perform on-demand video visits for patients, so at the touch of a button, a patient can contact their nurse or physician by video. The BrightFutures Prize is going to allow us to bring home hospital to real people who need real clinical care.